Welcome once again to Vlog. I'm your host. Today, I'll be taking another look at Genshin Impact. With the imminent release of version 1.5, I decided to take a look back at the last expansion pack, Invitation of Windblume, which is version 1.4. I also want to remind you that this is my first experience with a gacha game, so just keep that in mind if this is one of your favorite types of games. Before I continue, I want to ask you not to subscribe or click any bells. I don't know what the Alphabet Corporation does with that information or what any of it actually means. Genshin Impact is available on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows PC, iOS, and Android. The native PlayStation 5 version will be released with version 1.5. There is also a Nintendo Switch version that's been announced, but I haven't really heard anything about it for months. I'll be playing the PlayStation 4 version on my PlayStation 5 for the purposes of this review. Genshin Impact is a free-to-play, action role-playing gacha game that has made hundreds of millions of dollars, primarily from people gambling to get characters. I don't gamble, so I haven't spent any money, but there are individuals who have spent tens of thousands of dollars on the game. Why? I really don't know. The game plays just fine without it, and all gambling really does is make the game easier. But the gambling mechanic is essentially a virtual slot machine, and I know that those can be pretty addicting for some people. The story centers around the traveler Lumine as she continues her quest to find her long-lost brother. You're supposed to go to Japan to continue your search, but instead you decide to go to another festival. This time you're back celebrating the Windblume Festival back in Mondstadt. Windblume is kind of like Valentine's Day. The storyline for this festival is centered around the characters helping each other learn how to write a good poem. The festival had activities like party games. I enjoyed them, but again, they're all gone now for whatever reason. Some of them were better than others, but instead of building on them, they just got rid of them. I don't particularly understand this kind of thought process, but it's just something that they keep doing, and I find it all rather odd. By participating in the festival, you could get certain rewards like a special bow or a fun little instrument that you could play. After the festival, there was a limited time event called Contending Tides, which was an arena type thing where you could earn resources by participating, but the arena is also gone. There was also this other event where you learned about this little water character, and at the end you were able to take him with you on your journey. Version 1.4 introduced a dating sim that they call Hangout Events. So instead of looking for your brother, Lumine decides that she needs to find a girlfriend first, and she goes on some dates with a nun named Barbara and a knight named Noel. I really did enjoy these additions, and thankfully it's not going away. In fact, there's going to be more of it in the next expansion. The game also introduced Rosaria as a playable character. She's a nun like Barbara, but she doesn't really act like a nun, and it makes me wonder what the fine folks in MiHoYo really know about nuns and the Catholic Church. I got a little bored, so I used some of my free spins to get her. I also have a maxed out Barbara now because of it too, and another weird bow guy that I'm not going to use. Up until this point, version 1.4 has been another filler expansion. It didn't really add a whole lot in terms of gameplay or advancing the story. Aside from the new Hangout events, it was kind of boring. However, late in version 1.4, they released a new story mission. It included I'll be including some light spoilers here, so you've been warned. The new story quest is entitled We Will Be Reunited. And not surprisingly, Lumine is finally reunited with her brother, and she gets some ideas about what he's been up to. You meet up with that one weird guy again and go on a quest to figure out what the Abyss Order is up to. You get a lot of lore and learn that the weird guy is from a long-lost civilization from some 500 years ago, and learn more about the nature of the monsters of the Abyss Order that you've been fighting. It's also revealed that you're actually over 500 years old, you've just been sleeping or something, and that your brother has been active during this whole time doing stuff. He's also revealed to be the Prince of the Abyss Order, which is something that was strongly hinted at in the Battle Pass introduction videos. There's also a new boss fight that goes along with it, and it's pretty cool. While you're reunited, it's only for a brief moment before your brother decides to leave you again. Probably because you're more interested in dating women than looking for him. After he leaves, you're once again reminded by Paimon that maybe it's time you two finally made your way over to Japan. Which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, because Lumine has her eye on a cute calico cat girl who's also a bartender, which will probably take precedence over going to the new region. If we're being perfectly honest here, the game probably won't end until she dates all of the 4-star characters, and you'll probably have to use the power of friendship to save your brother from the darkness or something like that. The new story mission, while somewhat brief, was really good, and I really liked the new dungeon and boss fights. The dungeon, in particular, was a little more creative than the ones from the past, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Genshin Impact, and while version 1.4 was a bit of a mixed bag, I'm excited to see where you'll go next. Version 1.5 will introduce a new housing system, the native PlayStation 5 version, new story quests, and 2 new playable characters. There's still no way to pet cats or dogs, and the horses are still invisible, but you will be able to adopt your own pets when you get your house. Surely MiHoYo will let you pet your own pets. Or so I believe. I did find out from another YouTuber that one of the characters, who is named Luke, has an idle animation which has him petting a bird. I didn't have that character, so I just didn't know. I've been playing this game for almost 7 months now, and it's been my most played game during that time. I went into it thinking that it'd be more of a traditional action role-playing game, and while it has many of those elements, that's not an entirely accurate description. It also has a lot of MMORPG-like elements too, except you don't have to play with other people or pay a $15 per month subscription fee. I'm not sure how to properly define it, except to say that it's a persistent action role-playing game. The game is always changing, and instead of getting the whole game and story at once, it's being released in dribs and drabs. We haven't even made it to the third nation yet, so I'm not entirely sure when it's all going to end. With how it's going, it could be years before we get the entire story. I guess it's more like a television show where you watch the story unfold slowly over time, as opposed to a movie where you just watch it all at once. I have really enjoyed the game, but perhaps the biggest sticking point for me personally has been the whole monetization structure. Now, as I mentioned previously, I don't gamble, so I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars to gamble on nothing. I don't particularly understand the battle pass system either, and I'd prefer it if there was just some way to support the game with a simple exchange of money for goods or services. So I'll pay you X and you give me Y kind of a scenario. The only thing that sort of makes sense to me in their whole monetization scheme is the blessing of a Welcome Moon. It's a $5 item that you can buy once a month, and it kind of acts like a tip for their game as a service. In exchange for the tip and by playing the game, you can earn the equivalent of about $50 worth of chips to gamble in the character casino over a 30-day period. To me, it's still all very strange, and I just don't care for the gacha gambling mechanics. But I think giving them a $5 tip for their work is perfectly fair, and it's something that I'm considering. The game itself is really good. I just wish they'd figure out alternative ways to make money. A lack of official merchandise seems like a missed opportunity to me, but physical items can take a while to produce and distribute, especially right now. However, it does seem to me like they could do something else. For example, Lumine has been wearing the same white dress for almost 7 months now, so the option to buy her a new one would be nice. I mean, something. Any sort of alternative to gambling would be a welcome addition. In conclusion, the game itself is really good. Version 1.4 was a mixed bag that started weak and ended strong, and I'm excited about the future of the game, but I just hate the monetization scheme. I want to thank you again for watching my video. I want to remind you that this was not an endorsement of the aforementioned product. I'm not sure if my games as a service journey is interesting to anybody else, but I've been enjoying it. And I've also been enjoying learning how to make videos on my Apple Macintosh. Thank you again, and I hope you have a wonderful day.